Hello, my name is Bonnie Burke, and I work for Workforce Resource. This presentation is called Career Interest and Educational Needs. According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor and Statistics, the average person changes jobs 10 to 15 times during their lifetime. When I first read that statistic, I was surprised. Changing jobs is never easy, especially if you have to change jobs due to a business that closed or an employer needed to make a large reduction in their workforce. A few years ago, when I lost my job, after the initial shock of losing my job, I began to embrace that time as a gift, an opportunity to do something different. However, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I felt like I was back in high school again and asking myself, what do I want to be when I grow up? If you are asking yourself this same question, Workforce Resource is here to help you plan your next career. I want you to be able to complete a career interest assessment. So we're going to start that during this webinar together. I want you to be able to create a career goal. Basically, what I want to do when I grow up, so to speak. I also want you to be able to begin developing a career plan, and then together we are going to explore different options for educational needs. For an example, if you feel you need to brush up on your math or reading skills, I'm going to share with you some different options. So those are the 4 things that I hope that you will take away from today's webinar. On your note page, I have spaces for you to take notes, and I also have a few questions on this note page that I would like you to answer and fill in as we go along. On the next slide, you will see 3 triangles. In each triangle is a common statement. Most of you will have heard these statements before. Maybe some of you haven't. I'm going to give you 30 seconds, not very long, to read each statement, then to memorize the statement. After the 30 seconds, I want you to turn your paper over and in reverse order, write each statement. Okay? So you're going to memorize the statements. I'm going to give you 30 seconds to read and memorize them. Then I want you to write in reverse order what you just read. Got it? Go ahead, 30 seconds. So what did you write? What's in your triangles? What would have made this activity a little bit easier? Can you relate this at all to preparing for a career? Look again at these triangles. Did you get bird in the spring or bird in the hand? How about did you catch the bird in the hand? Did you catch once in a lifetime? Some people do, most people don't. That's not a typo. So why did some of us maybe catch that and others did not? Well, oftentimes we just want to skim through the information and jump right in and doing it. But when we're preparing for our careers, we need to slow down, take a step back, and do the research. Do your homework. So to begin our webinar, I want you all to think, what careers, what jobs would you like to work in? This is an opportunity in your life, especially if you're not working now, to really sit back grab that piece of paper and make yourself some notes. What do I want to do for the rest of my life? But keep in mind, the average career does change almost every 7 years. That's the world we live in. So I'm going to give you an example of a career to think about. And I'm going to show you some information, not just as it relates to this career, but other careers as well. So for an example, if you're interested in a career in transportation or logistics, okay, that's moving material, maybe driving a semi, truck driver, warehouse, forklift driver, courier services. So if you like transportation, if you like moving things, if you like inventory, truck driver, warehouse clerk, forklift driver, or courier service are some jobs that fall within that career. Okay? How about a career in hospitality? So what are some jobs in hospitality? How about working in a restaurant? How about managing a restaurant? Working in a hotel? We are ending, sorry to say, our summer tourist season. Well, how about working in recreation? Another occupation to really think about is healthcare. Right now, there are currently several openings, especially as a certified nursing assistant. But a career in healthcare could include the following jobs, such as being a nursing assistant, an administrative assistant, billing, coding, LPN, an RN, a physician, a physician's assistant. Look at all the different jobs that are in the field of healthcare. Excellent career to consider. As some of you might know, my background is manufacturing. Well, there are a lot of different jobs in the field of manufacturing. You could be in purchasing, you could be in sales, you could be a quality technician, you could be, my least favorite job was, you could be a supervisor. It could be safety and environmental, assembler, maintenance, engineer. There's so many different jobs available in the field of manufacturing. In this class, we're going to do some career exploration. That's what we just started with by looking at careers in healthcare or careers in manufacturing. There are many, many things that we need to consider. For an example, is there any training that's required? Do I need a 2-year degree? Do I need a certificate or a license? Do I need a bachelor's degree? What's the job market? Are there jobs out there? If you are going to invest in training, you really need to make sure that there will be jobs available after that training. You have to ask yourself, will you be willing to relocate? If you're choosing a career and the jobs are not available in the area where you live, that may not work. But if you're willing to relocate to where the jobs are, that's good. What average work hours will you want? A lot of occupations, it's just Monday through Friday, 8 to 9 hours a day. However, many occupations are weekends, evenings, holidays, third shift. Are you available? Are you willing to work those hours? Is there opportunity to grow? Some people just want a job. They're not interested in growth. But if you're younger, if you're in your 20s, 30s, or even people my age, they want to grow and change careers. And then also, what's the median wage? Think of yourself and your family. What wage do you have to have, and what benefits does your family and do you have to have? So a lot of things to consider when choosing a career. I'm going to give you a couple of tools that might help you choose a career. The first tool that I want to talk about, we can't do during this webinar. However, you can do this at your job center. It's called the Career Scope. It's a computer-based assessment that when you are finished, it will evaluate some of your skills and your interest. If this is an assessment you would like to take, just check with them at the job center and ask the resource specialist if you can schedule a career scope. It does take approximately an hour and a half. However, when you are finished, they're going to be able to print out the results. I have taken that assessment and I really, really liked it. it affirmed to me that I'm in the right career. Another assessment tool that I want to share with you, it's a website and it's called Career Locker on WISC Careers. So this one, once again, we're not going to do it during the class, but I'm going to show you what is available for you on WISC Careers. If you currently do not have a username and a password, you may have to do that to get into this website. So Career Locker, it was formerly called WISC Careers. So on this website, I have taken the assessments already. So I want to share with you the results of, if you take the assessments, what will you see? What will be the end result? So first of all, I took it's called a personal globe inventory, kind of an interest profile. They asked me all these different questions on what am I interested in? And my results were, it scored me in areas that were considered realistic, investigative, artistic, that's not me, social, enterprising, or conventional. Well, that doesn't tell me very much, right? But I do know that I scored the highest in social. So when I scroll down, it's going to tell you the results. What does realistic mean? Description of that interest. What does social mean? Well, careers that, for people who scored high in social, it's activities that frequently involve communicating with and teaching people. Wonder why I scored high in that one. They often require people who are helpful, friendly, supportive, and charitable. I guess I better look at my giving, huh? These activities can involve helping people with problems, such as maybe counseling. It can help doing volunteer work, teaching, or training others. So when you take your assessment, and I encourage you to do that, look down at the results. Where did you score the highest? And read it over. Now, once again, that doesn't give me an exact career to go in, but it tells me that I would be good based on my answers, or I may enjoy teaching, or I may enjoy training. So read your results when you are finished. So I'm going to show you a couple of my other results. So that was my interest profile. So then the Explore Occupations, it's going to take those results and it's going to explore top 20 highest ranking occupations for me based on my results. And over here, you can see that the occupations that it's considering or telling me to consider are adult literacy teacher. So that would be a teacher who would work with people who needed to brush up maybe on their reading or their math. Alcohol and drug abuse counselor, an art therapist, an athletic trainer. Oh, that's not me. I need a trainer. Counselor, a clergy, a community organization worker. So I'm going to click on adult literacy teachers. And what does this occupation do? That's why I love this assessment. It just brings you deeper and deeper into a description and more information. So it's going to tell you, what does that type of teacher do? And it's going to tell you their average workday, where the jobs are located. It's even going to tell you pros and cons about that occupation. So WISC Careers was the old name for this assessment, and now it's called Career Lockers. You can spend time on this website exploring not just career assessments, but education. You can do some job searching and even budgeting. So I really encourage you after this webinar to go log into Career Locker. Initially, try it at the Job Center, because if you have problems at all creating an account, they can help you in the resource room with that. So we've talked already about Career Scope. Once again, you have to schedule that at the Job Center with a workforce resource staff.
Or the second one that we've talked about is Career Locker, which formerly was called WisCareers. So 2 really cool tools that you can do to assess your career interest. But now I'm going to give you a third tool. This tool we're going to start during this webinar. I really like this one. Number one, it's paper and pencil. Maybe it's old school, but it's called a Career Cluster Interest Survey. I hope you have this handout in front of you. For some reason, if you don't, hit pause and go ask the resource specialist to print this out for you. So on this survey, you will be answering questions or basically circling items that's going to assess your interest. And what they are assessing are 16 different careers. It might be a little bit overwhelming, but it's really going to take a look at, like you can see, many, many different careers. So circle the item in each box that best describes you. You can circle as many items as you want or as few as you want. You may make, once again, don't spend a lot of time on each option. Typically, if we go with what comes to our minds first, it's like, oh yeah, I'd like doing that. Oh, I wouldn't like doing that. So circle the items that you are the most interested in. When you are done circling all the boxes that are in each category, I want you to add up the number of circles in each box. So when we may not have time, like I said, to do the entire 16 during this webinar, but I am going to give you at least a minute, maybe 2 at the longest, to at least work on the first 2 to 3 career boxes. So if you have questions, once again, hit pause and go ask a resource specialist. If you've had 1 or 2 finished, and if you did more, good for you, I want you to turn to the very last page. And looking at your highest scoring career, look at what career matches that. So which one so far is the highest for you? I hope it kind of opened your eyes a little bit. Granted, I know there's several more that you need to finish, and I'm going to encourage you to finish this after the webinar or take it home with you, because this is, I feel, one of my favorite tools to help assess, what do I want to be when I grow up? Okay, so now that you know the career, when you are all finished, what do you do next, right? Okay, so maybe I like agriculture, maybe I like teaching, but what do I do next? Well, these career clusters actually are on a website called O-Net. And I'm going to show you on O-Net what an occupational or a career looks like. So I'm going to pull up my O-Net, do a search for career cluster, which I already did, and you will see this drop-down box. All of these careers are the careers that are on the assessment that you just took. So for an example, if you scored highest in the career cluster's health science, all of the different occupations that would be good for you based off of your career cluster score are in the health field. But look at all the different occupations in the healthcare field. Wow, everything from a biologist, clinical data manager, natural science manager, pharmacist, that's a lot of training, ambulance driver, athletic trainer, cardiovascular technician. Most of these occupations, until I've been on O-Net, I had no idea even existed. And this list goes on and on. So definitely I know what a medical assistant is, and I'm going to click on that one. I do know that a medical assistant is typically a 2-year degree. And so the next piece with O-Net, if this is an occupation that you're interested in, as a medical assistant, it's going to give you a summary of what that occupation looks like. Well, a medical assistant performs administrative and certain clinical duties under the direction of a physician. Administrative duties may include scheduling appointments, maintaining medical records, billing, coding information for insurance purposes. Does this sound like something you might like to do? Clinical duties might include taking and recording vital signs and medical histories, preparing patients for examinations, drawing blood, and administering medications as directed by a physician. Personally, I think that sounds pretty interesting. You can find out more about any occupation, and our example here is just medical assistant, just by scrolling down. If you've been on O-Net before, you know that there is a lot of wonderful information, and if this is a little overwhelming, feel free to ask them at the Job Center if you could print this off and take it home and read over. The other piece, and we're going to talk about this again in a little bit, but notice over here it has this bright yellow sun and it says a bright outlook. Well, a bright outlook, I'm going to talk about that in a slide soon, is a career to pay attention to, and I'm going to tell you soon why. I hope you have a lot of fun by doing that. It does take time, but if you're like me, you are going to be able to see several different careers, several different occupations that you may not have even thought of before, and pay attention to the stars and the bright outlook. Good. So one more tool to help you assess your career interest. So career summary. What does this occupational do? What are the required tasks, the tools, the education, and wages? Once again, you're going to find all that information on O-Net. onetonline.org. I'm going to give you a few more examples. Going back to our career cluster, if you scored highest in the hospitality and tourism cluster, well, this is a few of the jobs that may be available. You may be really interested in being a chef or a cook, and you could be a waitress. You could be a manager of a restaurant. You could run a tourist. I think of Wisconsin Dells in the summertime. That's what comes to my mind when I think of tourism. But on O-Net then, compare the tasks, the skills, and the wages of the occupation that interests you the most. And then the next step, and we're going to talk about this a little bit later on in this webinar, is what are the educational requirements? It's a really important part of career assessment. I'm going to give you one more example of a career cluster. I like this one, and I chose this one because I grew up on a farm. So if you scored high in agriculture or food and natural resources, if that was your cluster, wow, what jobs fall under that? Well, I know what agriculture would be, but food and natural resources. You could be a food scientist. You could be a food buyer, or you could be a sales representative, or veterinarian technician also falls under this career cluster. So kind of a fun one. So looking at your top career cluster, how do you know if there are job openings in that field and in the location where you want to live? To me, that is so important. Are there job openings, especially if your occupation requires you to go to school? When I first decided to go back to school, I was an adult. I had 3 children. I was almost 40 years old, but I thought I needed a change of career. I knew I physically couldn't work that hard the rest of my life. So when I went back to school, my original degree was in elementary education. Education, right? I love kids. Well, when I got 2 years into my degree, and this was a 4-year degree, the outlook for teachers is when I very first started to pay attention to them. After 2 years of school, yes, I should have done that when I started. So that's why I'm telling you my personal story. After 2 years of school, lots of time, lots of money, I then realized, oh my goodness, at that time there was little to no job openings in elementary education in the area where I was living. Because of my family, I knew I couldn't relocate. Whoa, so back to the drawing board, more money, more time, but I did choose finally a career where there were job openings and it was in my area that I could live and work. So remember I showed you that little bright star and the term bright outlook? But when you're on O-Net, those are the careers that are expected to grow rapidly in the next several years. They will have a large number of openings, not just now, or new openings, or this might even be an emerging or a new occupation. So this information is pulled from statistic by the Federal Bureau of Labor. So it's not just somebody thinking, yeah, this would be a good job for you. I think there's openings. This Bright Outlook rating is based off of statistics. So if you want to go back to O-Net, they even have a section of O-Net that just lists all the careers that have bright outlooks. Might be another place to start as well. So I just want to do a quick review about career and career systems before we move on to the educational piece of this webinar. So can you name 2 resources to help you choose a career? I hope you can. Did you get WisCareers or Career Locker? Or the one that's right in front of you, Career Cluster? Or you can schedule the assessment at the Job Center, which is called Career Scope. So lots of good resources. Or you can even speak with a counselor at Workforce Resource at the Job Center for some assistance. So in choosing a career, what things should you consider? Number 1, are you interested in it? Is it something that excites you, that you have passion for? Are there jobs in that area? What does that career pay? Also look, is it a career that I'm going to physically be able to do 5 years from now, 6 years from now? So take the time, do those assessments, and then look at a career that's going to be good for you and your family in your future. So a few other resources I wanted to point out before we moved on that may help you choose your career. Well, we live in an area where there's several wonderful technical colleges, from Chippewa Valley Technical College to WITC, or if you live up north more, there's the LCO Community College. Check out with their student services and schedule a time to meet with someone at the technical college. They can open your eyes to many, many different programs that can lead to wonderful careers. Once again, check at the Job Center. The resource specialists, the consultants, all are very aware of careers that are available in their communities. And there's one other website that I'm going to show you before we move on. When I found this website, I really liked it. And this is from the U.S. News and World Report. And it's giving you a summary of the top jobs for, or best jobs, I should say, I'll read it correctly, for 2015. So U.S. News and World Report, they've been around for a while, and I'm not sure what they base on top, but it could be the best pay, it could be the best jobs that are available, and jobs that are within a specific region. So they break their answers off into occupations as well. So the best healthcare jobs, whoa, do you want to go to school to be a dentist? They make $146,000. Lots of training, but it's a good occupation. If you like technology, there are a lot of jobs currently in technology. If you're interested in software development, I'm going to click on that career because I want to show you what else this website will bring you. Not just what are some of the best jobs, not just what do they pay, but what is that job about? What does a software developer do? So I'm going to scroll down and show you the article. So it will give you a really nice description of what does that software developer do. Well, they invent technologies that they invent technologies that typically we take for granted. For instance, that app that rings, sings, or buzzes you out of a deep sleep in the morning, a software developer helped design that. So read through the article, and then this job is ranked best technical job, #1, and it's #3 in the top 100 best jobs. And then if you're like, okay, so where are the jobs for this occupation for a software developer? Well, this next step is really cool. You just hit Find Jobs, and it brings you to Indeed, another really fun website. And you could put your own zip code in there, and you can find many, many jobs. So I hope that after this webinar that you take a little bit of time and look at this website. So it's called usnews.com Best Careers for 2015. And then also, once again, go to the Job Center of Wisconsin's website. You will be able to see all the jobs that are open within your area. So we've looked at a lot of different tools to help you assess what career would you like. What career would getting up and going to work every day make it not seem so much like work? All right, so I hope you have a goal in mind. The next piece that I want to share with you is to think about the education that may be required for that career. For an example, if you are interested in a career in manufacturing, remember we showed all the different occupations on ONET. Well, one of the hot jobs right now in manufacturing is actually a CNC operator, a computer numerically controlled machine tool programmer. So if you like manufacturing and if you like programming, a CNC controlled machine programmer, that's a mouthful, may be a good career for you. So what education is available? What will I have to learn to do this? Well, once again, our technical schools in our area are amazing. So I'm going to first go to the WITC's website because this is a program that I know is offered at WITC. It's going to give you a brief description of the career and what their program covers. Then you can look at administration, what is it going to cost, what's the career overview, what's the career outlook. But the other piece that I like about their website is that they have videos. And each of their programs, there's a short video that you can watch. So this one has a short video on being a CNC machine tool operator. And all you have to do is click on the box and the video will come up. And as you can see, this one is only a minute long. Kind of a nice way to listen to people who work in that field and also people who have obtained their degree at the technical college in order to work in that career.
I'm currently a CNC programmer, and most of the stuff that I've learned here is stuff that I use every day at work. CNC is an abbreviation for computer numerical control, which means that you're using a computer to control machine tool motion. Students are learning to set up the machines, run the machines, program the machines, troubleshoot problems. Someone that's mechanically inclined that understands spatial abilities, be able to look at a two-dimensional drawing and see that picture or see that image in a three-dimensional shape.
The thing that I like about it the most is being able to draw something on a computer, see a digital model of it, and then go out and produce it in the real world. I mean, we do everything from start to finish. We start with a print, end up with a finished product, and do everything in between. A lot of the stuff we do is directly tied to what you're going to be doing in the real world.
It's a really unique time for someone that has a good set of skills.
There's definitely work out there. People are begging for skilled workers.
Okay, this is what WITC does, but what does CVTC do? If you live in the Chippewa Falls, the Eau Claire area, you may want to go to a school that's a little bit closer to home. As you can see, Chippewa Valley Technical College also offers programs for machine tool techniques, which includes the CNC programming. So, educational consideration to think about, and once again, that was just one example for a CNC operator. A lot of education nowadays is available online, and I really, really want you to think about and use caution when choosing a degree program when the coursework is all taken online. Number one, do you have the discipline? If you are home by yourself, would you log into the internet? Would you attend the class? Would you work on the homework? And all of a sudden I get a phone call, or someone's at the door, or I have children and I have to take care of them. It is an amazing way to complete training if you have the discipline to do it. The other consideration that I want you to think about for online coursework is, will employers accept this degree? So for an example, if you are interested in being a medical coder, I would call the local hospitals or medical facilities to say, I am considering attending this program as a medical coder. Is this the degree that you accept? And from my experience, there are degrees out there offered on the internet that are not accepted with some employers, especially if it's a program where you are required to have a license to work in that field. So, two cautions with online classwork. Do you have the discipline, and will the employers accept that degree? Training considerations, especially as adults. How long is the program? There are some really good short-term programs out there. I have seen a CNC programmer, for an example, that's 1 year. There are some programs out there that are 2 years, and then of course also the 4-year. There are wonderful careers, I truly believe, for just 1 or 2 years worth of training. So how will I pay for the program? That's a huge consideration. Education does cost money. And then the other thing to think about, do you have any prior training or work experience in that field? And if your answer to that question is yes, that could be a good thing. And I'm going to show you in a little bit what I mean. So, will any of the classes be online? Even if just a couple of those classes are online, that may give you flexibility to spend more time with family. It definitely saves travel, but yet once again, will you have the discipline to complete those? I want to share with you a few ideas on how to help pay for training. The first one is FAFSA. You can go to the website fafsa.gov and easily fill out the application. Within a short period of time, you will be able to see if you qualify for any grants, which are really nice because most grants you do not have to pay back. However, if you qualify for loans, take a step back and say, will I be able to pay these back? Loans are loans that are never forgiven. So use caution when taking student loans. The other consideration to help you pay for training is, are you a veteran? There are some veterans benefits that are available that may help you pay for training. Check with your local veterans officer. Another consideration is, Are there scholarships? There are oftentimes scholarships available for returning adults in high demand areas. So talk to your school's financial aid office and make a meeting, go in and talk with them and let them know all of your financial situation, and the financial aid officer will really help you and assist you in making the best financial choices for you. Another option also is talk to your case manager if you're working with someone at Workforce Resource. And I have to say this with a big capital M, there may be some support available for you depending on the program and depending on funds available at that time. So FAFSA might be an option. If you're a veteran, that may be an option. Scholarships, or talk to your case manager. So paying for school, it is an investment, but if you choose the right career, it's an investment that should pay for itself in a short period of time. So you've made the decision, you're going to go back to school. Really? Now the next step might be a little scary. Do you have to polish some of your skills? Most adults do. So if math is a 4-letter word for you, don't be scared. For most adults it is. Or if you struggle with reading, or maybe you don't have your high school diploma. Those are 3 areas that really affect a lot of people, yet at our technical colleges, through their continuing ed program, there is great resources that are available for you. Do not hesitate to ask and to ask for help. I know at our local job center where I work, every Friday, a teacher from WITC comes on site. She's there probably for 6 hours every Friday, and she works with adults and helps them with their reading, the math, and then she helps for those of them who need it to prepare to take the test for their GED. So don't let that worry you or make you scared. There's help out there available. But for those of you who like using the internet to polish some skills, these websites are very, very helpful. The favorite one that I have, because I've used it a lot myself, is actually called GCF Learn Free. GCF Learn Free, you can learn everything on there from how to use a computer to how to polish your math. Khan Academy is another one. I've used this just briefly, however, Khan Academy is also free. I know a lot of teachers recommend this website. Another resource is to look up an agency called Literacy. Most counties have literacy volunteers, and they are adults that will help you work one-on-one polishing, and especially your reading skills. But once again, do not hesitate calling your local technical college and asking to speak to someone about their adult services. Adult services are free. Yep, you heard me. They are free. So make that call and go on into the technical college, and they can help you out. They will have assessments that will be able to assess where are you at in reading, where do you need to polish, or if it's math, what level of math are you at, where will you need to polish. So adult ed services, I wanted a slide just to focus on this because this is a free assessment. Both CVTC and WITC provide this service. Both are just amazing. Whether you're there to earn a high school diploma or a 2-year degree, or even just to polish some school skills to make yourself more employable, check out that service. They're going to also help you develop an individual personal education plan. What? I thought that's what we were doing here today. They will do that with you also. So another resource to please, please, please give them a call and check them out. So the next piece that I want to share with you that I think is great, especially for adults, is to look at a program called Credit for Prior Learning. Do you think back of your world of work? Do you have work experience in a specific field, and do you have any prior training? I'm going to use myself as an example, because when I went back to school, I had already worked for many, many years. I had done a lot of training in my job. In fact, I had done a lot of training as a volunteer. I did volunteer work for the American Red Cross. So I was able to take those years of work experience, the training that I had completed, along with several other certificate programs. I was able to put them into a portfolio. It took me a while to put this all together. I was able to present this to a board, and they approved it, and I was able to earn 8 college credits because of my prior learning and prior experience. Now, I'm not going to guarantee you'll get 8 college credits. However, it works. I recently completed a class at Chippewa Valley Tech called Credit for Prior Learning. And I'm going to bring up their website because I really encourage you to check this out. So depending on the occupation that you're looking at, go to CVTC's website to check this out. Credit for Prior Learning is an option if you have previous work experience and previous classes that you may have taken and previous volunteer work that relate to the program that you're enrolled in, or that relate to some classes that are within the program you're enrolled in. My 8 college credits that I earned for Credit for Prior Learning saved me several thousands of dollars. I did have to pay, I believe it was about $200 for it to be reviewed, but then also it saved me a considerable amount of time. So check that out, Credit for Prior Learning. It's available at most technical colleges and also at UW Stout. I believe it may be available also at UW Eau Claire. But I love it that they're going to give us college credit for things we have already done. So we've talked a lot about career choices, and we've talked a lot about educational choices for you as well. So before we wrap up this webinar, I'd like to spend a little bit of time just reviewing what we've talked about. So can you list 2 resources that might help you pay for tuition? Did you write down FAFSA? Did you write down scholarships? Did you write down if you're a veteran? And also check with Workforce Resource. If it's a small program, if you're enrolled in their programs, they may be able to help. So if you need assistance with math or reading, what resources are available for you? I hope you wrote down WITC or CVTC's Career Services. That service for adults is free. But also remember the websites we talked about. We talked about GCF Learn Free and Khan Academy. You could also talk to the resource specialist at the Job Center, and they may know of other resources available for you in their areas. All right, online training offers flexibility, definitely saves you gas from having to go to school, yet what should you consider? What did I caution you for? Well, I hope you remembered to really think this through. Step back and say, do I have the discipline to sit down at home, log in, and complete my coursework? It really does require a lot of discipline. Or do you learn better in a classroom where there's a teacher that you can talk to face to face? Think about your learning style. Think about what flexibility you may need in your personal life as well. So resources to pay for it. I hope you've got some of those written down. Math and reading improvement. I think we've talked about the technical schools, and always, always, always think about, can I do the online class? But then also remember, the field that you want to work in is that online program. Does it qualify for what's required in that career? So my last challenge for you today is to complete your career plan. Remember, that's the handout that we talked about at the beginning of this webinar. In that plan, I really encourage you to write a career goal. After writing a career goal, I really want you to take the time and write down the steps that you need to take to work in this career. Do I need to go back to school? Or maybe I just need to do some networking. Maybe I just need to polish my resume and get out there. And then once again, do you need additional training? And if so, what are the resources and what are the steps you need to take? So fill out that career plan. Bring your career plan to Workforce Resource if you're working with a consultant, and they can help you go over that, and they can help you with the steps that it's going to take for you to attain that career.
I hope you have enjoyed this presentation on career planning. If you would like further assistance in career planning, Workforce Resource is here to help. Not only can we help with additional career assessments, when you are enrolled in our program, we can provide assistance with short-term training. Funding may be available to help you update and acquire new skills. Stop by your local job center and ask to speak with a Workforce Resource consultant or complete our online application. On our homepage, you will see the link for Job Seekers application. Our goal is to help you choose not only a rewarding career, but a career that is in high demand. Thank you so much for attending this presentation, and have a great day.